Let me start today's session. This is the first session of your Python full stack development course. So in this session, I'm going to discuss in Python full stack development, what subjects I'm going to cover, and each and every subject I'll discuss what is the purpose. And also I will give you clarity whether you need to go with only Python core and advanced or full stack development. So both courses duration I'm going to explain you. And can you please mute your audio from your side? If you have any doubt, you can try to share your doubt in chat box. So at the end of the session also, I'll allow you to speak with me. So you can share your doubts by speaking, no problem. But right now, when the session is going, in the middle of the session, any questions are there. So you can please try to give your question into chat box so that I can read and I can answer you. And I request you please mute your audio from your side to avoid some noise, because these sessions all are going to be recorded, and same recorded videos we need to share to every students later. So please do mute from your side. So let's begin today's session. This is Python full stack web development course. Python full stack development course. In this Python full stack development course, I'm going to cover these subjects like Python completely core and advanced, Django, and then REST API, and then Flask, and UI, that is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and then Bootstrap. Okay, these are the UI technologies. And finally, sixth one is, that is database is compulsory required MySQL and as well as SQLite 3, which is integrated with Django. So these are the subjects which I'm going to cover in our Python full stack development. So Python, Django, REST API, Flask, UI, MySQL, and SQLite 3. And if you go with complete Python full stack development course, so then the course duration is 4 months compulsory till time. So before 4 months, I can't finish. So if you have any time constraint, so duration like 2 to 3 months, if you are looking, then you can go for other options where you find. But it's not possible from my lectures, because I need to cover every subject in deep. So from scratch, and intermediate level programming, advanced level programming with respect to of all these subjects. So if you enroll for Python full stack development, so you need to travel 4 months with Durga sir. And for example, if you are looking only for Python, so core Python and advanced Python, that means basic and advanced level Python, then duration of the course is 45 days or 50 days to 60 days it will take. 50 days, maximum 50 days it will take to finish this only core and advanced Python. So now coming to this here, how we can select only Python core and advanced or full stack development. I suggest you, if you are a working employee, so already you are working somewhere, so in your project development, if they recommend to learn Python, which can be used in your project development as a script, as a programming, so then Python is recommended for you. No need to go for Python full stack development. And or else you are not a working employee, your requirement is you are going to do some job on Python completely full stack developer. So then in that context, I suggest you to learn complete Python full stack development. Or else you are a fresher, so recent passed out, or else you have a gap like 2 to 3 years, 2 years gap is there from your academics, then I can suggest you to learn Python full stack development. So that may be advantage. So once you have a strong knowledge on all these subjects area, so then you will be get more opportunities in reality. So more calls you will get in the context of all full stack development courses. Okay. Yes. Now coming to this. Just a moment, someone is asked. See that if you have any questions, you can feel free to message in the chat box so that I can read, then I can answer you while session is going. But at the end of the session, let me complete my demo session today. And after that, at the end of the session, I'll speak with you 10 to 15 minutes. You can share your queries and doubts. I'll freely answer to you. Okay. So just let me complete this demo lecture so that you will get clarity. So then you can ask any type of question regarding this Python full stack development. I'll clarify your doubts. So if you go for only Python, then 50 days duration. And if you go for complete Python full stack development subject, which I'm here covering, like Python, Django REST, and Flask and UI MySQL, 4 months duration is required, sir. And every day session is going to be recorded, including today's session. So these recorded sessions, we will upload to you your Google Drive, so that my lecture of videos are just lifetime access and downloadable recordings also, along with complete soft copy of material. So every subject we will send the PDF, core and advanced, Django, REST, Flask, everything will send PDF only. So no need to get any what we can say, you don't get any problem while watching my video lectures and in the context of practicing, or you can follow my PDF document clearly. You will get what we can say, practical things, everything step by step I have included. So now let's speak about which subject is for what purpose and why these subjects. So you have to get clarity in the initial stage only. So anything if you are learning means you have to know in that technology, in that context. So what subject are there? Each and every subject, which purpose is required, you have to know that clarity. So that after getting a clarity only, so that it will be easy to learn. So which subject is required for which means you can get clarity so that you will understand clear concept. One thing for sure, in this all 6 subjects which I'm going to cover in Python full stack development, you are going to learn only one programming language, that is Python. Remaining all are not a programming languages. Okay, so strictly remember. So only one programming language you are going to learn, that is only Python, sir. Because every Python full stack developer or any full stack developer, I'm speaking like Java full stack, .NET full stack, at least the person should aware one programming language. So here we are going to work on Python full stack development. So you need to have the idea about Python programming language. So this is only programming language what you are going to learn. Remaining all are not programming language. Then what are that remaining, sir? Okay, yes, let me discuss about Django, REST API, Flask. These are all frameworks. You are going to learn frameworks completely. But that too, these are all Python based frameworks. That means if you know Python, then you can move for Django, REST API, Flask. If you don't have any idea about Python, so that is not required to go to Django, REST, Flask and all. Okay, so I strongly recommend if you know Python, then only it is possible. Obviously, you can able to get it. Okay, no doubt at all. So now coming to this, without knowing about Python, so you can't move for Django, REST API, Flask and all, because these 3 are frameworks which are completely written in Python language. A person who know how to manage the Python script, that person can able to understand Django, REST and Flask. And coming to this UI technologies, to learn UI technologies, no prerequisite subject is required. Happily, you can able to start directly UI technologies at any time, no required a Python or Django, something like that. UI directly can able to learn. And coming to this MySQL and SQLite 3 also, to learn MySQL and SQLite 3, so not required to have any prerequisite because these are all completely database things only. database related things. Yeah, for working persons in Python, in the sense, if you know already Python functions and the Python object-oriented programming principles, then Django is useful, compulsory, and along with REST API also. Most of them, they will teach Django, but they'll skip the REST API. But without REST API, we can't imagine that Django is fulfilled. So that's what Django with REST API, if you learn, that will be good deal actually. Okay, yeah. So now coming to this, to learn this UI and MySQL, no prerequisites are required. Prerequisites are required. But now coming to this, to learn Django, Python is compulsory required. And also to learn REST API, Django is compulsory required. So this is the link is there. That's what orderly I'm going to cover all these subjects in detail. Once again, I'm telling you, to learn Django, Python is required. To learn REST API, Python as well as Django both are required, because REST API is completely dependent on Django. It's an extension subject of Django. Using Django along with Python code, we are going to generate APIs, application programming interface. That too, this API is going to be generated by REST architecture, representational state transfer. This is REST architecture. Nowadays, most of the programmers in real time, they are going to generate APIs by using REST architecture only. And coming to this Flask, Flask is also framework, I said. Okay, but to learn Flask, only Python is enough, not required Django as well as REST API. To learn Flask framework, only Python knowledge is required. And these are the link is there actually. Okay, so orderly how to learn it. But to learn UI technologies, not required anything. To learn MySQL, it's not required because UI is completely front-end based. MySQL is completely database storage only here. Okay. Python certificate, if you want, you can do it, but no one will ask you certificate mandatory like this. So if you want to claim yourself as a certified developer, so after gaining the knowledge of Python, you can able to write the Python certification. So once you get a good credits, they will give you, Microsoft will give you certification so that you can claim as a certified person. That is add-on advantage. If a person is new person, then I will not recommend any subject. So you can start your career as a Python only. So even the most of the students will think like that, to learn Python, any prerequisite required? No, I can say no, not required to learn any C, C++ basics or anything. Directly you can go to Python or full stack. So I suggest you are a fresher means then full stack is the best option. You just hold a few minutes, okay? So that let me complete my lecture. So at the end, 10-15 minutes, I'll interact with you so that you can share your doubts and all one by one. I can give you answer clearly. So let me finish this each and every subject, which purpose we need to use. Okay. Now coming to this, Python is a programming language. Django, REST, Flask are frameworks. These are all Python-based frameworks, but these are all not at all programming language. But to work with these frameworks, compulsory one programming language is needed, that is called Python. And UI technologies completely designing purpose. This UI technologies and MySQL and SQLite databases we are going to use in the context of Django as well as REST API. These two frameworks are need UI technologies for designing web pages or web applications. And MySQL also database storage area. Now let's discuss in detail what is each subject purpose actually. First, we are talking about Python, and make sure that to learn all these subjects, Python is the first focus. So that's what our concentration, first 45 days to 50 days, fully, completely concentration is on Python only. Later, we'll begin with Django, REST, Flask, and all. This UI and MySQL will come along with Django and REST framework only. So first, Python side. So what is Python and what is the use of Python? As I said that Python is a programming language. Python is a programming language which is used to write coding part for the application development. Python is a programming language which is used to write coding part for the application development. Generally, any programming language you can take. So what is the use of programming language? Generally used to write coding part only. If you want to generate or design any software application, compulsory coding and logic code is required. That logic code we can write with Python language only, because we are using Python full stack. Even Java full stack developer, they'll go for Java. .NET full stack developer, they'll go for C#.NET. So there are some combinations are there. So you have to follow that combination. You are in Python full stack developer. So Python programming language is must. You can't escape it from. So Python language can be used to write coding part for the application development. Then coming to this, what is Django? As I said that Django is not a programming language. Django is a framework. Okay. So what type of framework it is, Django? So Django is a web development framework, and which is used to develop web applications, which is used to develop what type of applications? Web applications means websites with including UI only. Web application means the applications which will provide services over the web is called web application. That web application development purpose in the Python context, we use a framework called Django. So Django is not a programming language, it's a framework. What type of framework means? It's a web development framework, especially it is used to develop web applications only. But sir, what is framework generally? Framework is nothing but it's a collection of rules or set of rules, predefined rules, or it contains lot of built-in libraries. Using that libraries or using that predefined rules and regulations, we have to develop the application. So already rules was decided. You have to follow that rules, framework rules. They have given completely framework libraries. You have to install it and you can go through them implementation. But make sure that only Django will not work out to develop web applications. Okay, if you want to develop any web applications with the Django framework, compulsory Python is required, because we are going to write complete code in Python only. We are going to write website code completely written in what? Python language only, sir. So without Python, you can't go for what we can say Django, sir. Python, because this Django framework is completely written in Python. So Django framework completely written in Python. So I strongly recommend to learn Python before going to Django. Okay, it's a web development framework which is used to develop web applications. Now coming to this REST API. So what is REST API? So REST API is also a framework. REST API is also a framework which is used to develop the APIs. Nowadays, you know that APIs are playing very much good role in real-time applications. Okay, so now coming to this, the APIs means application programming interface. So application programming interface. I'll discuss in detail about REST API when it comes to its own subject like Django. After I'll talk about more things. I'll talk about API more things. But in a simple way, I can say REST API means it's a framework which is used to develop the APIs, that is application programming interface. So generally nowadays, many of the users are using their mobile devices. In their mobile devices, then all are having lots of applications like YouTube, Swiggy, Zomato, or banking applications like that. But the person is communicating the applications through APIs only. Whenever we are going to open any YouTube app from our mobile device, that YouTube app will send request to YouTube API. That API will communicate with YouTube applications. And same like application can send response to API. API can deliver response to our mobile device. So that means what you understand here, API is nothing but act as a middleman services, act as a mediatory software. So this can be used to take requests from the client, and that same request can be sent to server. Server can give response to the API. API will give response to the client only. So it is act as a middleman services or mediatory software. That is API creation here. most of the cases, the APIs will play the major role in real time, because in our daily life, we are having different technology applications in our mobile device. But finally, for doing your transaction complete, we are communicating with the different technology applications, so that multiple applications communication is possible with APIs. So in simple way, I can say the API is used to talk multiple applications with each other. That platform is called API only. So this is about REST API. This is a framework which is used to develop APIs for communicating with the different applications, especially in Python platform or Django platform. So without Django, you can't go for REST API. So Django compulsory required along with REST API. With the Django only, we are going to create APIs only, because Django is a web application development framework. In the web application development framework, first of all, we have to generate APIs for remaining different services which are going to be used from our web applications. So that API can be used by different technologies people. So that's what we need to generate APIs. Communication medium. API can be used to communicate with different applications. That is API only here. So this API we are generating with what architecture? REST architecture. REST means representational state transfer. So this architecture, this is the design architecture pattern. So this pattern through only we are going to develop APIs only. So that's what I'm saying, REST API. So REST API is a Python point of view, we can call it as REST API. Even this REST API in the Java point of view, programmers will call it as RESTful service. Okay, RESTful services. And .NET point of view, they will call it as web APIs. So terminology is different. According to them, it's a different terminology, but purpose is same only. In Python point of view, we can call it as REST API only. Okay. Now coming to this, what is Flask? Flask is also a framework, sir. Look at this. Flask is also a framework. Flask is also a framework, and also it is what framework? Web development frameworks. Flask is also a web development framework. Sir, you know that you're saying like Django is a web development framework. Again, Flask is a web development framework. So which is used to develop the web applications. Using Flask also we can able to develop the web applications. But the difference between Django and Flask is a micro framework. Flask is a micro framework. Flask is a micro framework. That means using Flask, we can develop only single page applications. Using Flask, we can develop the single page applications only. Single page applications only we can develop using Flask. In real time, generally Flask can be used to develop microservices or small scale applications, or obviously feature scope is a lot. Nowadays, Django can be used many well-known companies like what we can say Spotify, okay, Spotify, and also Udemy and YouTube, and so many Mozilla Firefox, that app, that the browser previously it was PHP, now it's migrated into Django. So there are a lot of websites are there with Django, with Python, even including Flask also. Okay, so the lot of top level companies are using. So it's obviously scope. If you are looking forward for web application development with related to Python, I can suggest you strongly Django only. Okay, it's a good, no problem. So Flask is a web development framework which is used to develop the web applications. Flask is a micro framework. Using Flask, we can develop single page applications, but using Django, we can develop not only single page, multiple pages applications, and medium level applications and huge scale applications also we can develop using Django. Okay, so Django is the scale is different, and Flask is a scale is limited, scope is limited. Only small scale applications and single page applications can be developed here. So Flask and Django, these two are web application frameworks we are going to learn. Now coming to this UI, sir, UI, user interface. So obviously, in real time, so any website, if you open, compulsory UI is required. So whatever you are going to see on the screen for the first time when we open or any website visit, So you are looking that the screen, no, that screen is nothing but UI screen only, user interface. User interface means finally when user is going to enter into the website, how the user is going to interact with the web form or registration form. This is called user interface kind of thing. That user interface we can prepare with the UI technologies. Imagine that no website is exist without user interface, without UI technologies. So I'm talking about UI technologies. So these are the UI technologies which I'm going to cover. When what is recommend for especially Django related topics through. I'm going to cover all UI technologies here. Okay. Yes. So Python related questions. See, the thing is, once you join my sessions and you have a clear platform to communicate with us any doubts through mail, because all the recorded videos and material officially will come from my mail only. So you can able to communicate with mail for all the doubts and queries. You can post your screenshot where you are getting the problem in the practical session. So I'll reply clearly there. So UI technologies means like HTML is there, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, and then Bootstrap. So these are all the UI technologies basics which I'm going to cover in related to Django, how much it is needed for Django, REST API, Flask. Then I'm going to cover all the things which related to UI technologies. In this UI technologies, lot of things are there like HTML. So why HTML is required here? Generally, HTML stands for hypertext markup language. As you know that it is used to prepare the web pages only. Okay, so if you want to describe actual content of the website, then HTML is required. HTML is used to generate web pages. So only web pages not enough, because sometimes I need to do some more look and feel I want to bring for my web pages. In that context, we can go for CSS. This is for what actually styling. Styling for web pages purpose, we can use what actually CSS on cascading style set. So only if you go through HTML, your web pages look like normal you feel, but you want to make your web pages more look and feel is better. So when compared to normal style, then you can go for CSS, styling for web pages. Okay. Yes, we can do it. That will come in Django with MySQL concept, with joins concept only here. Okay. Yes. Now CSS cascading style sheet, that styling for web pages purpose, we use CSS only. So cascading style sheet. CSS is only for HTML. So if there is no HTML, you can't apply any CSS. Compulsory CSS is required HTML elements or HTML tags only. Because on the tags only we can apply some styling for styling for HTML. Now JS is there, JavaScript it is. It's one of the most scripting languages in every web development. So you can't imagine there is a website which is running without JavaScript. You know, every website is going to be integrate with JavaScript, and obviously JavaScript is used to make functional. Functional means dynamic web pages, dynamic pages creation. Functional or dynamic pages, meaning is what? If we create HTML, only HTML is going to be static resources, like the pages will display, like registration form will display, or login form or change password form. We can design, and with styling CSS, page is available. But how do we make some functional? So interaction pages, like if I entered username and password or any data in the HTML pages, but how the data is going to be validated, so how the functionality will make, so then JavaScript is required. Most of the cases, JavaScript are going to be used for validations, form validations, means user inputs are correct or not. If you want to cross verify, then JavaScript is required. Okay, yes. So now coming to this, see, we are asking Spring Boot. Spring Boot is related to, that is in Java related, but I can't talk about that Spring Boot. So if you ask me any Django related question, that will be good, and I can able to answer at any extent level Python related. Okay, so that's what. So JavaScript is a functional or dynamic web pages. That means if you want to perform any validations, form validations, whether user inputs are correct or not, if you want to check, then you can go for JavaScript along with HTML. Again, to perform actions or functionality, HTML tags are required. So because once we write JavaScript functionality, we can attach to that HTML page where we can perform the validation by calling JavaScript functions only. We'll discuss that also in detail in our session. So I'll try to create JavaScript functions and call in the web forms like HTML forms, how functionality is going to be takes place. And coming to this jQuery, Bootstrap or advanced UI technologies, these are designed and developed by using HTML, CSS, JavaScript only. jQuery as well as Bootstrap. Both are advanced UI technologies. These two are designed by using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. jQuery is a JavaScript library. It's an extension of JavaScript. jQuery is what actually? JavaScript library. So why jQuery, sir? Because we have already JavaScript. So JavaScript is nothing but it's a completely code from scratch. Code from scratch. Code from scratch. That means if you write the code from scratch, then it will make more code. So that means if you want to reduce a lot of code without writing the code from scratch, if you want to use directly library which is available, then jQuery is required, sir. Actually, jQuery is required. jQuery is an advanced JavaScript library. So it is just making some code is less. We can do more operations. jQuery libraries you can download from jQuery.com. And Bootstrap is nothing but combination of JS as well as CSS libraries only. JavaScript and CSS libraries are combinedly available in the context of Bootstrap. This Bootstrap will make more look and feel of your web page. More look and feel of web pages. So we will focus on more Bootstrap only in our Django web application development, because Bootstrap functionalities will bring lot of look and feel for our web pages when compared to normal HTML as well as CSS. So these are UI technologies for which purpose we are going to use. These UI technologies which I'm going to cover when I starts with Django. First few days, 5 sessions, Django introduction, Django setup and application running process. I will tell you. After that, we will focus on UI technologies. Once we complete that UI technologies, which is recommended for Django, how much it is needed, all the topics will be covered. After that, we will focus on completely Django lectures. Once we complete Django, the extension subject is there. Along with the Django with Python script, how to generate APIs in Python development. So we will focus on REST API. Then finally, we will go for Flask. This is the last framework which I'm going to conduct the sessions in our Python full stack development. Flask is separate framework, which is not really needed. Django REST API for learning Flask. Flask is only for Python is required. Okay. And UI anytime you can learn, and MySQL. What is MySQL? See, as a full stack developer, you should have at least a basic idea about any one database. That I'm recommending MySQL. MySQL and SQLite, both I'm showing now, because SQLite is one of the database which is integrated with Django. Whenever we what we can say, create a Django project or application, automatically you will find the one integrated database SQLite only. This database can be used to manage everything with the Django related stuff. In case if you want to manage your database separately, then MySQL is recommended here. But it doesn't mean that Django and Python do not support MS SQL like Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MongoDB, and other databases. Yes, Python and Django can support any type of databases, but just there is some common combination in real time. Most of the Python applications are going to be used MySQL as a database, backend SQLite only. That's what I'm including MySQL, because it's a common combination. You know that most of the Java programmers in full stack development, they'll prefer to use Oracle as a database. Most of the .NET full stack developer, they'll prefer as MS SQL is a database, Microsoft SQL. And we preferred in Python full stack development, MySQL is the majority of the cases. But it doesn't mean that Python and Django do not support other databases like Oracle or other database. Other databases also we can use it, no problem. But MySQL, I'm going to focus. This MySQL basics also I'm going to cover in the respect of Django as well as Python only. So SQLite 3. This is called database storage. Database creation purpose we use for storing, storing, for storing user data or client data, we can say that. So compulsory database idea also need to be required, sir, because you are the Python full stack developer. You should have maximum idea about at least one database and at least one programming language and frameworks and UI technologies. So this is completely what I'm going to cover in our Python full stack development. Each and every subject purpose is what. So once again, I'm telling you, in entire these 6 subjects, you are going to learn only one programming language, that is called Python. And Django, REST, Flask are frameworks. These are not a programming language, but these frameworks, if you want to manage, you need one programming language, that is called Python. To manage Django and REST, Python is mandatory. To manage Django, to manage REST API, Python and Django is mandatory. To manage Flask framework, only Python is mandatory. And to manage UI, no prerequisites. Directly you can learn with UI technology. And this is also MySQL directly you can learn without linking with any other subjects. These two are completely separately you can learn it, no problem at all. But in our lecture, all I'll cover according to our convenience. So first focus is completely on Python, sir. Okay, complete Python, because without this Python, you can't move with any subjects in our Python full stack development. So that's what I want to make you comfort in Python 45 days to 50 days. Once you know how to deal with Python script, so it will be easy to handle with Django, REST, Flask, and any other things. Okay, so this is about complete overview of Python full stack development course, each and every subjects which you are going to learn. All the subjects related recorded videos I'll send to your Google Drive along with complete soft copy of material. You just Hello, can you hear me? So this is about Python full stack development courses and which subject is required to what purpose I included clearly. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask me now so that I can give you answer clearly. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me, what's your question?
Okay. I have a few questions to ask, Ashley. Hi, my name is Sherry, and I have a question. Like my first question is, do we have, apart from providing video, do we have any online class where we all student can discuss
No,
the Python? Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I mean to say, apart from class lectures, any platform is there to share the doubts and
Yeah,
all these things you are asking?
yeah.
No, there is no platform, but only the option is you can contact through mail only.
Okay.
Yes.
And how many hours I have to study every day because I'm doing a job
Yeah, yeah, it's okay.
full.
Good, good, good. But actually, the class is every day according to Indian time, IST, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Only 1 hour session. And if syllabus is not going to
Okay.
cover within the 4 months duration, I'll plan weekend sometimes 1.5 hour also every Friday and Saturday. So that will be good. And from your side, practice is compulsory required. Without practice, you can't do anything. So only attending the classes is not enough. So compulsory, you need to practice at least 1 hour daily. If you practice, that will be good.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you will be satisfied undoubtedly. So that you will build confidence on this.
Okay. So you said that Indian timing 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, right?
Yes, Indian time.
Okay. So is that a everyday class or
Everyday
at
class, like Monday to Saturday classes will be there. Only Sunday is the off.
okay, Monday to Saturday?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And my fourth question.